Welcome to part 6 of the Black J Journal channel introductory lecture series. I am your lecturer. My name is Khalifa Abdul Khalik. I'm an African American elementary teacher who have been living and teaching here in the Far East for over 20 years now. I'd like to point out to you guys the link at the bottom. That is the link to my website, Black J Journal. This website goes more in depth. It gives you way more details about the history of blacks in ancient and modern Asia. So for those of you who want more detailed information about this topic, please do not hesitate to click the link below. Okay, now thank you all for joining me. Now let's continue on with our talk. Can you believe, okay, we have the African American, we have our own flag, okay? You know, the red, black, and green flag that's supposed to symbolize the African American people here in America. What a lot of people are not aware of, okay, with that flag, is that a lot of a lot of people around the world, a lot of Africans, a lot of people out, a lot of people from the African diaspora, Africans, black people in Jamaica, black people in Haiti, black people in Brazil. A lot of these people look up to us. They look up to us as being the most progressive black people on the face of the earth right now. A lot of people look to us for leadership. A lot of people look to us for guidance. A lot of people look to us as the ones who's going to pave the way for all black people. That's why it's very crucial that you have some kind of awareness of yourself as an African. Like I'm talking about the African American flag, okay? I brought that up because, and like I said, the African American flag is the red, black, and green flag. Can you believe? Can A lot of people are not aware of the fact that a lot of nations in Africa, once they got their independence from colonialism, once a lot of those nations got their independence, and so they decide they're going to make their own flag to signify their independence, to be a sovereign nation who broke away from European control, European domination. So they came up with their own flag. And what a lot of those African countries did, they looked to the African American. They looked to our flag. Like I said, the African American flag is the red, black, and green flag, okay? The country of Malawi, when that country became the African nation of Malawi, when that country became free, when they gained their dominance, gained their freedom from colonialism, they made up their own flag and they patterned their flag after the African American flag. The country of Malawi, the African nation of Malawi, has the red, black, and green flag. Okay, the color of their flag is red, black, and green, and they got that from the African Americans. They saw our flag and they patterned their flag after us. So there is an identity there for Africans identifying with African Americans. People, a lot of African Americans do not know. A lot of nations look to you for leadership and for guidance. Yeah, the African nation of Malawi, they patterned their flag after the African American flag. And it wasn't just the country of Malawi, the Kenya too. The East African country of Kenya, when they gained their independence from the Europeans, they patterned their flag after the African American flag. The country of Kenya, their flag has the color red, black, and green. And they got that from, they were inspired by the African American flag. See, a lot of nations look to us for guidance. A lot of nations look to us for leadership. A lot of black people all over the world, in Africa and in other parts of the world, the whole African diaspora, look to the African American for leadership and for guidance. I just wanted to point that out to you. So it's crucial that you get some kind of awareness of yourself as a black person, as an awareness of your own African history and African heritage, and not try to book a plane flight to some country called Wakanda, which does not exist. Okay, I also want to point out to you guys, okay, like I said, a lot of nations look to us for guidance. A lot of nations identify with us as African Americans. And for example, the country of Ghana, okay, they passed a law called the Rights of Abode Law, which grants African American permanent residence, give them a status of permanent residence in Ghana, because you know Ghana is a West African country, and a lot of the slaves were taken out of West Africa. So the people of Ghana, the leadership of Ghana, the government of Ghana, they passed a law called the Rights of Abode Law, which gave any African American the right to legally go back to Ghana and become a legal resident in Ghana, because that's one of the countries that their ancestors were taken out of anyway. So Ghana leadership passed the rights of abode law, giving us the right to go back to Ghana to become a legal resident in that country, the country of our ancestors. So I think that was a great thing, that the country passed that kind of law to us, because it's true. That is one of that country should be viewed as our home. Yes, it should. Like I said, a lot of nations, a lot of peoples all over the world look to the African Americans for guidance, for leadership. And it's not just black people all over the world, many black people all over the world. It's also people of other races who look to us for guidance, for leadership. For example, who model themselves after us, who are inspired by us, who are inspired by our freedom fighters, by the civil rights protests, by freedom fighters all over, by the African American fighting for freedom, and setting the example to other peoples all over the world. W.E.B. Du Bois was an African American writer, teacher, and sociologist. He boldly addressed issues facing the black community, and at one time he was head of the NAACP. He was also well respected internationally as a credible spokesman for the black community. Many people are not aware of how respected this man was all over the world. W.E.B. Du Bois was actually invited to come to China in 1959. When he arrived there, the Prime Minister of China, W.E.B. Du Bois, was very surprised. He was very shocked when the Prime Minister of China declared W.E.B. Du Bois' birthday a national holiday in China. I'm going to repeat that. In 1959, the Prime Minister of China declared W.E.B. Du Bois' birthday a national holiday in China. They looked up to this man. They looked to him for guidance. They looked to him for leadership, for freedom, for human rights, and to inform the public, inform the world about the African American community, the African American situation. And a lot of the Chinese looked to him for that. And they respected him for them. They honored him for that. And they actually declared his birthday a national holiday in China. A lot of people are not aware of that this man was how respected he was all over the world. Yes, but that's the truth. It's not just W.E.B. Du Bois, okay? There were other black protest movement, black figures, black renowned figures who inspired people all over the world. A lot of people are not aware of the fact that when the Black Panther Party was established in 1966, when that party was established, okay, it inspired other groups all over the world. Many people are not aware of the fact that it inspired the Australian Aborigines. The Aborigines of Australia were inspired by the Black Panther Party spawned by the African Americans in 1966. That inspired the Australian Aborigines. The Australian Aborigine was also an oppressed group who had a lot of their human rights violated in Australia. And they were inspired, they were impressed by how the African Americans formed the Black Panther Party and stood up for themselves, stood up and fought against police violence, and other abuses that were perpetrated against them as a people. That inspired the Australian Aborigine to form their own Australian Black Panther Party. The Australian Aborigine actually formulated their own Black Panther Party on January the 8th, 1972. It's not just the Australian Aborigine. There were other groups all around the world who were also inspired by the Black Panther Party. Many people are not aware of the fact that in India, there was an oppressed group in India called the Untouchables of India. The Untouchables of India actually formed a group called the Dalit Panthers. The Dalit Panthers were a model after the Black Panther Party, because the Dalits were the Untouchables. The Untouchables were an oppressed people who were abused, who had a lot of their human rights trampled upon, and were always the victim of violence in Australia. I mean, victim of violence in India. So they were inspired by how the Black Panther Party formed themselves and formulated themselves and solidified themselves to defend themselves against violence. So they decided to do the same thing in India. The Untouchables of India formed the Dalit Panthers and started to take a more of a military protest to defend themselves against a lot of the human rights abuses that were perpetrated against them. See, a lot of people not aware of that. But yeah, that's true. The Black Panther Party inspired the Australian Black Panther Party. They also inspired the Dalit Panthers in India. And it's not just those. There was also a Polynesian Panther Party that was started in New Zealand. These are some of the things that people are not aware of. These are some of the things about black people, about our history, about our civil rights leaders, how they inspired the world, and how they would look to for guidance and for leadership. These people inspired other people all over the world. Okay, there was also a group called the Israeli Black Panther Party. Can you believe that? Yes. So there was the Australian Black Panther Party, a Panther Party that was started in India, a Polynesian Black Panther Party in New Zealand, and there was also an Israeli Black Panther Party. But this is the type of information, like I said, this is why we need Afrocentric studies, to get this information out to our people, to get this information out to our children, to pass this information over to our young. This information is valuable. This is a diamond. This is a jewel. This is something that black people should know about. Instead, otherwise we won't have situations like I said we had before, where we having black people booking a flight to a fictitious country called Wakanda, a country which does not exist. This is why we need Afrocentric studies. Thank you.